Hey, welcome back. We have a knife here. Very excited to get this one, and I already took the label off here for a change. But very excited to get this one in from White Mountain Knives. My favorite, perhaps. I mean, there's some really good ones, but just long-standing, historically speaking, big fan of White Mountain Knives because they're easy to work with, and a few things that I don't really want to say on camera. But generally, just a great guy that runs it, and I wish he could get more knives in stock because I would buy from him most of the time. But yeah, got a Reate Exo here. M, the new one. And I hadn't checked out the Burlap Micarta, so I figured I'd give that a try. It's not probably my favorite style, but I figured since I've already got a bunch of the other styles, I might as well check out something new with this new style knife. So there she is. There's a, let's see what's in here. Comes with some stuff. I like how they're packing this now. Before this was all kind of like loosely laying on here. Now it's all in the bag. So some hardware, sticker, patch, pouch, and cleaning rag. So that's awesome. Like that they now box that up a little cleaner than they used to. And there it is, little one. Little, it's got the lock now, so if I try and jiggle it around, it's not going to come out, but yep, just undo the lock, let it out, lock it back up, and then same thing, not going to come undone. Pretty good on the edge. I'd have to double check it, but it feels maybe a little less than optimal. Now, interesting is the shape, you know, maybe because of this is not, it's not like this looks shorter. You basically have a longer edge on this side versus this side, so it is not a like true double edge. I have to look at that a little more, but yeah, I was really curious how this would feel having to do this back and forth. It's a little rough. I don't know if that's supposed to be rough, if it needs the friction to stay shut, but it almost feels like it wants to be lubricated or something. This is serial number 491 here, born January of 2013. So that's actually interesting. They were making these 2 months ago. Very interesting. I got the double edge configuration here in 3V, CPM 3V there, you can see. Definitely a fan of the double edge when I can get it, but let's compare it real quickly to one of the bigger ones. Let me just grab it, sorry, one sec. See if I can find another double edge. There we go. So here's one of the bigger ones that we can compare it to. I have a couple of these for sale if you're looking for one of the older ones with the no lock and it's bigger. Just let me know. But this one is a black micarta. I like the burlap though. That's pretty nice. I thought it was going to be more rough. It is a smooth micarta, just to be clear. So if you're expecting like kind of a burlap sack feel, that's not what it is. It's just the style, but it's completely smooth. So that's interesting. That's unexpected. Let me open up the bigger one. We can just put them side by side here. Again, these older ones just came with all this stuff sort of sitting on here, which is a little annoying when you're taking stuff in and out of here. But definitely quite a bit bigger. And then you can see as I pull it out, it's already starting to shoot out of there. Quite a significant difference in size. I'm going to switch these in a second so it doesn't look quite as proportionally as crazy as it does when this one's closer to the camera. So bear with me when I just clean some of this stuff up and move it real quick. Yeah, very different, as you can see. They really took a whole different grind approach and everything too. You can see on the old one, it was really more like a, you know, they were very different. I guess you were also given a spot to choke up here. But let me maybe do them this way so you can get a better sense of the size difference, because now proportionally they'll be the same. Also, they added the pocket clip. So in the past you had it did come with something to put it in your pocket with the pouch and everything. But yeah, that's so the pouch is no longer included. Now they have this little soft pouch. They had that before, but they also had like a carry pouch for it, like a nice little leather carry pouch for it, since it didn't have the lock. So that's an interesting change. It's interesting they were able to basically produce this at a same price, and probably just reallocate cost towards the pocket clip, which looks pretty nice, although the screw does stick up there, so that's unfortunate. And then the locking mechanism, it's pretty slick how they do that. I'd actually like to look inside and see what I can see there. So that's obviously has to be very flush, right, for the knife to be able to slide back and forth in there, inside of here. But you can see how the lock works there. Essentially sliding. How does that work? I guess it slides from here to there and then holds itself in. It's only on one side, so I wonder how strong that is. I guess this is holding it in on the frame. It's probably, but man, it doesn't look like it can get a lot of purchase there. But it's not a big deal. It's not like there's a lot of upward force here that's possible. So interesting. Same sort of overall jimping that they had on the old one. Same jimping top and bottom, but obviously there's a bigger distance here on the old one, but there's still plenty of, more than enough room here. You can see that's, I'm choked all the way up there, but I've still got 1/2 inch on the back, whereas on the old one, kind of ridiculous. Gave you a lot of places to grab, but it was way bigger than you needed it to be. Did make it feel very generous on the handle. And now if you're in this kind of position, it's a little less so, but I don't think that's really a very common, I guess that's a stabbing position or something if you're gonna get this double edge and use it for self-defense, but not my area of expertise. So yeah, interesting. There's definitely a little bit of a difference in sound. As you can hear, versus the older one. There's a pretty big difference in size and the blade, the chamber, and everything. So I'd say overall the tolerances are similar, maybe a little tighter on this one. Of course, when you throw the lock on there, it's not going anywhere. So I think it's a nice upgrade. I think this is more what the knife should have been. Definitely a fan of the configuration overall. Let's see, so if I were to, just kind of curious, like what my fastest deployment methods would be here. Yeah, it's interesting. The older one's just a little easier to throw out. I'm trying to figure out why. But that one I can really just wrist flip it out. Maybe I can get that on camera. It's hard for me to do it right under the camera here, but yeah, that's a little easier for some reason. Yeah, it's right there. It's definitely a little bit different on the tolerances, it feels like, but overall, pretty darn similar. The Micarta on this older one is definitely a bit more textured. Even has some like jimping lines in it, so that's worth noting. Yeah, aside from that, there's a lot of similarities, just a different scale and different approach. Interesting. To give you a sense of where these sit, I'd say this is about the same size here as the Demco 80-20.5 now, whereas the older one was definitely more like an 80-20 or even bigger. So hopefully that kind of helps on the sizing for some of you that know the Demco at least. Yeah, interesting little variant. I think it's definitely more focused on the carry, of course. I don't know what the M stands for, if it's miniature or mini or something like that, but definitely a nice little, I wouldn't say upgrade, but variation would probably be a better description. I think some people are going to gravitate towards, no pun intended, gravitate towards this old version of the gravity knife, and some are going to like this for more of a carry and user, whereas this is, I'd say, more for the curio and for the more purist would probably be the best way I'd put it. So, yeah, glad to have hands on it, see what it's about, and overall I think they did a good job of executing. I'm curious if that would wear in a little bit again. It was a little grindy at first. It's still a little bit, but it feels maybe a tad bit better now. But overall, nice knife and a cool variant and option to consider. So that's all for now. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.